Welcome, everyone. I see we have a lot of participants coming in. Welcome. A few more trickling in. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. We'll be starting in a few minutes. Welcome, everyone. We'll be starting in a few minutes with our financial aid session. We had a few more trickle in. Welcome. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And welcome, everyone. I want to welcome you to our Cal Poly Financial Aid Information session. My name is Tatiana, and I'm a financial aid counselor, and I'll be the moderator for the session today. On behalf of the financial aid team, I want to go ahead and congratulate you on your acceptance to Cal Poly. I know it is an exciting time for families, and I'm happy you can join us today, so welcome. Today we will be reviewing some financial aid basics, and please use your Q&A box. I know I've seen some questions already there, so I know you're probably seeing that, to ask some questions as we go through our presentation. Several financial aid counselors are working in the back to answer those questions for you, but we will go ahead and answer some of those live. If you do want your question to be answered privately, you can designate that, or feel free to reach out to our financial aid office at financialaid@calpoly.edu. At this time, I want to go ahead and introduce my colleague, Adrian, who will be walking us through some of those financial aid basics.
Hi everyone. My name's Adrian, pronoun she, her, hers. I'm a financial aid counselor. We're really excited to be here, and it's so great to see all these names popping up and everyone coming in with a bunch of questions already. So we're going to be covering a lot of stuff during our presentation, and here's a little bit of an overview. We're going to talk about how your financial aid award was determined, where to find your financial aid award if you haven't quite located it yet, and some tips for what your next steps are. In addition to the Q&A in the chat box that we're going to be answering as we go, and then again live at the end of our presentation, we are also going to host 2 more Q&A sessions. So there won't be presentations, just sessions where we are here to answer your questions on Monday, April 27th at 5 p.m. and Wednesday, April 29th at 1:30 p.m. So you can visit the virtual open house website for the link shortly.
All right, so let's get started. So Adrian, let's start off with one of the most common questions we receive, which is, how is the financial aid award package determined?
So we determine your financial aid based on the EFC, the expected family contribution number that comes from the FAFSA or the California Dream Act application. This is the financial aid application that you will be renewing each year between October 1st and March 2nd. Expected family contribution, or EFC, is an index number that colleges use to determine how financial aid the student is eligible to receive. It is not what you're being charged, and it's not what you're going to pay out of pocket. So it's just a number we use to sort of determine your financial aid eligibility. There are several factors that are taken into consideration to determine a student's EFC, such as the family's income, household size, the number of people in college, and assets. So that's a really important kind of word you might hear us throw out a little bit and when you're talking to our office. Another term you may hear about is the cost of attendance. The cost of attendance, or COA, is the estimated cost of attending the institution. So that means altogether the expenses for tuition, meals and housing, books, supplies, transportation, and MISC expenses. I'm showing the cost of attendance now on the screen for a first-year undergraduate California resident. You can see our other costs of attendance for other students on our website, calpoly.edu/financial-aid. So this is an important kind of thing to familiarize yourself with, and it'll really kind of give you the sense of what it is going to cost to attend Cal Poly next year. Another reason it's important to know that cost of attendance and EFC number is because they play together in a formula to tell us your financial need. So essentially, to determine your need for financial aid purposes, we subtract the EFC from the cost of attendance, and this financial need and EFC helps us determine what types of aid you might be eligible for. The aid types, there's a lot of different kinds of aid that you might be seeing on your financial aid package. So aid includes grants, money you don't have to pay back; federal work study, that's money you earn through work; loans, that's money you do have to pay back; and other types of aid include need or merit-based scholarships. So financial aid awards are broadly categorized into two different categories: need-based aid and non-need-based aid. Again, remember, this means you have to have financial need based on the formula that I showed a couple slides ago. Your financial aid package may be made up of a mix of these types of awards. And as you can see, for example, the student loans are a little bit different. So the subsidized student loan is considered a need-based aid, and then non-need-based aid, all the other loans in the middle class scholarship are in that category. And I'm just going to use that to segue into loans really quick. So we're going to try to go through all the different types of aid, and then as we're going, feel free to drop in some of those questions in there. So a subsidized loan is a loan taken out in the student's name. Interest on the loan is paid by the federal government while a student's in school and you're enrolled at least half-time. An unsubsidized loan is also a loan in the student's name, but the student is responsible for the interest accruing on the loan while they're in school. Both loans do not begin repayment until 6 months after you graduate. Currently, the interest rate for these loans is 4.53% for the subsidized and unsubsidized loans. The interest rate will change for next year, and we will make sure to communicate that on our website. In addition, a first-year student is eligible for $3,500 in the subsidized loan if they have sufficient financial need for it, and $2,000 in the unsubsidized loan, for a total of $5,500 in the direct student loans. So the $5,500 figure is the maximum amount of federal loans for a first-year student. Another loan option we have listed here is the Parent Plus loan. This loan is a federal loan borrowed by a parent. A parent must apply for the loan at studentaid.gov after June 1st. If a parent is denied the loan, or if a parent is ineligible to even apply for the loan, a student may be offered an additional unsubsidized loan of $4,000. Interest rate is currently 7.08%, but that is of course subject to change for next year's loan.
Okay, so I know that you've been talking about the Parent Plus loan just right now. So what if a parent doesn't want to apply for a Parent Plus loan at all?
Yeah, that's a great question. And a lot of parents maybe want the student to take more responsibility for their education through loans. Students can consider applying for a private educational loan. These loans would be in the student's name with a parent or another supporter as a cosigner. On our website, we do have a tool that helps you search for private loans.
Okay, great. So I know that we receive a lot of questions about scholarships as well. Can you tell us more about those?
Yeah, so no application was necessary for Cal Poly scholarships. All incoming students are automatically considered for merit-based scholarships, and all the scholarships have been posted for 2020, 2021. Some students may have scholarships that they are bringing with them from outside sources, and once you're committed to Cal Poly, you can let us know about these scholarships by filling out the outside scholarship form located on our website, and then we can list these outside scholarships on your financial aid package. You'll also find resources and tips for searching for outside scholarships on our website.
Awesome. So we talked about the different types of student aid, but how is a student able to see their award on their student portal?
So there's lots of different ways to kind of get to your financial aid package. So one way to do that is to go through the Money Matters tab in the portal. You'll click the Money Matters tab, and then you can click View My Financial Aid. Another way you can get to it is by going to the student portal and then clicking on your Student Center on the left-hand side. That opens up the screen I'm looking at now, that I'm showing you now. This screen is really helpful. So to get to your financial aid from here, you would click where it says View Financial Aid, and it'll open up a second screen, and then you'll click 2021 Aid. And then this is going to show you your financial aid award for the year. And then if you scroll down, it also breaks it down by term. So this is what the award summary page looks like. You'll notice this really helpful link up here called that says College Financing Plan. You can click that button, and what you'll see, what'll pop up, is this really clean looking sheet that'll show you the your cost of attendance. It'll then also break down your financial aid package by scholarships, grants, and then your loan options. And then I'm just gonna take us back to what the Student Center looks like. So again, this is available on your award summary page.
Yeah, so on this page that we are seeing currently, I see that you have highlighted the authorized to release link. Can you explain that?
Yeah, this is a really helpful link if a student wants to give access to their information to a parent or supporter. Student records are private and protected under a federal law called the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA. So without explicit consent, Cal Poly staff cannot share information or conduct financial transactions directly with anyone but the student. So you can allow access to financial aid information by clicking Authorized to Release, and then you put the person's name in, and they actually get assigned, you assign them a PIN, so that when they call us or email us, we are able to talk about the specifics of your financial aid package. And in particular, giving someone authorization on here is about financial aid and your student account information. We can't go over grades, and we don't tell them who you're dating or who you're hanging out with. So it is a way to give your parent or supporter access to be able to ask specific questions about financial aid.
Okay, so if we go back to that same student center, yes, that one. I see that you also highlighted off to the right the to-do list. So I know that's an important place for students to go to and be aware what's being added on there. Specifically for students who are selected for the verification process review. Can you tell us more about that and how that works?
Yeah, so some applicants are selected for verification, which means we have to review your financial aid application for accuracy. We may ask to see certain documents like a 2008 tax return or have you fill out some forms. You can see the student has items requested. When you click the blue More link, it'll open up a page that looks like this. So you can see more information on your to-do list. The blue text is actually clickable, and you can see instructions and links to forms. You can see that this student actually has items requested from financial aid, but also admissions, and you might even see things from the health center as well. Also, you'll see the status is listed as initiated. Initiated means we've initiated the request and we need you to do something. So we would want you to click on here and read the information and perhaps turn something in to us. Once you turn a document into us, it'll disappear from the to-do list in a couple weeks.
Okay. So So now we know how to see and view those awards, but what are the next steps?
So after you've reviewed your financial aid, you can accept your award offers in the portal. So grants have automatically been accepted on behalf of the students since they are money you don't have to return. But scholarships may have certain requirements, like a commitment to a certain amount of units or maintaining a certain GPA level. So you want to review those in your award summary and on your award letter page. And before you commit to those, you can also accept or decline the loans in your student portal as well. Other next steps you'll need to do is to check your to-do list and Cal Poly email regularly. We communicate with students via this to-do list primarily and your Cal Poly email. So you need to be checking that consistently. And finally, submit any requested documents as soon as possible so we can finalize your financial aid package and have you ready to go. Your financial aid will not disperse, meaning we don't release it to you unless we have all the documents in and reviewed.
Okay, great, thanks. So I know that a common question is that I know that families are facing an economic adversity, and their financial situation might be very different or somewhat different from what was reported in their financial aid application. How does the financial aid office consider these situations?
Yeah, so we encourage families who have experienced a loss of income to submit a change of income appeal, which will be available on our website after June 15th. For now, families do need to plan for the financial aid currently offered on their financial aid package, but we do review all appeals. And so if you've been impacted by unemployment or a dramatic reduction in income, or maybe you have high out-of-pocket medical expenses that weren't accurately reflected on the FAFSA or California DREAM Act application, you can submit a special circumstance form or that change of income form as needed.
Awesome. Thank you, Adrian, for all that information. I know that it's very helpful. So right now, what we'll go ahead and do is, well, actually, let me share the contact information for our office if you need that. So you can see at the bottom, it's financialaid@calpoly.edu if you need to email us, or you can visit our website at calpoly.edu/financial-aid-aid. You can visit that, and there's information on there as well. We will also be having upcoming Q&A sessions, as Adrian mentioned at the beginning, next week, in case we don't get to answer your questions today. So you're more than welcome to visit us on Monday, April 27th at 5 p.m. and Wednesday, April 29th at 1:30 p.m. So I know that we received a lot of Q&A questions that we want to go ahead and answer live. So we'll go ahead and start that session now. Let's see.
So I see we had a couple questions about just re-emphasizing the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans. So again, both the loans are similar in that they are in the student's name. They do not require that you repay them until 6 months after you graduate, or if you're enrolled in less than full-time units, 6 months after that point. So you always get a 6 month grace period before you need to start repayment on those loans. Both have the same interest rate. The biggest difference is that the subsidized student loan is accruing interest while you're in school, but the federal government is paying it. So you will walk out of Cal Poly without interest on that loan. And the unsubsidized loan is accruing interest that will be there when you're done with school. It will have accrued on that loan. We always recommend that if possible, you make some payments towards that interest while you're in school. Paying early or making little payments here and there doesn't get penalized. It's not a bad thing, so you can always definitely do that. And I also saw a question about if the yearly amount of the subsidized loan increases. So yes, when you move from being a first year to a second year student by grade level, or units rather, you are $4,500 in subsidized student loan is made available to you if you have sufficient financial need. And then as a third year or up, you're eligible for $5,500 in subsidized student loans. The $2,000 also remains for the unsubsidized loan. That one doesn't change. Those numbers are for dependent students. If you're an independent student, then you're actually eligible for about $7,000 in the unsubsidized loan, and the subsidized loan numbers are the same. I'm sure everyone's an expert on loans now. That was perfectly clear. So keep asking if we want to go back to that one.
Okay, Adrian, I don't know if you touched base on this question, but it's, can you explain the process to accepting loans, denying loans, and how payments work for them?
Yeah, so on your portal, I'm going to go back on the screens a little bit. So once you're in the section where it says like award summary, there's a link available there that says accept and decline. So you're going to click that. You can accept up to as much as is listed. So let's say you want to borrow all your subsidized loan, but only a portion of your unsubsidized loan, then you can select just $1,000. So that'll all happen in the portal. Once you accept that loan, 2 items are going to populate on your to-do list. One of them is student loan counseling. That's done at studentaid.gov. And then a master promissory note or a loan agreement. That's also done at studentaid.gov. So it's actually pretty easy. These loans are, if you're eligible for FAFSA, these loans are available to you. The Parent Plus loan is the one where there's an extra application that you'll need to do. And then payments. So payments don't begin until after you've graduated, 6 months after you're graduated. You're assigned a loan servicer. So that means that while it's a federal loan, there's a company that holds the loan for you, and that's who you're going to be making payments to. You create an account with them.
Okay, the next question we have is from Christopher. It says, I've been selected for verification by FAFSA and submitted my student independent forms to Cal Poly. How long will it take Cal Poly to confirm my financial package after my verification?
That's a great question, Christopher. Thanks for asking it. So it takes us about 6 to 8 weeks to review the documents once they're in. You will get notified if there's a change.
Thank you, Adrian. So Eric is asking, typically, does the amount of the subsidized loan increase on a yearly basis?
Yes. So as you go up in grade level as a second year student, you're eligible for $4,500, and then as a third year and up, you're eligible for $5,500 in the subsidized loan.
Okay, so Brooke is asking, how is financial aid distributed?
Great question. So you'll see on this award summary page, if we were able to scroll down on it, you would see it by term, because that's how we distribute financial aid quarter to quarter, so fall, winter, and spring. So it is distributed a week before the quarter starts, assuming that you're in at least 12 units, and then it goes to your student account. So your student account is on your Money Matters tab. It's in a lot of places, but one is the Money Matters tab, and also the Student Center as well. I'm going to go back to that really quick. In the middle of the screen, it says they're unable to show the account info, but that's where your charges would be listed as well. So a week before the quarter start, your financial aid is dispersed, meaning we release it and it goes to pay whatever balances are on your student account. If you are receiving financial aid in excess of those charges, then it gets refunded to you, or maybe you still have a balance left over, in which case you would then make a payment. So you can find out a lot about disbursements by visiting student accounts, our Cal Poly web, which I'm sure we'll get linked in the Q&A shortly.
Okay, we have another question from Melissa. What is the change of income link?
So the change of income process starts with you going to our website on June 15th and downloading the change of income form. So on the form, it's actually pretty comprehensive. We ask for a statement where you explain the differences between your information that's on the financial aid application, so your 2018 income, to your current 2020 income. So we are essentially asking you to project your income for the rest of the year, for the calendar year of 2020, based on what you're experiencing now between January and June. And the reason we're waiting until June is because we want to give you the chance to see, to have a good estimate of what that might look like. So you might be providing some documentation to us, meaning recent pay stubs, notices of being laid off, or maybe whatever, a divorce potentially, so divorce documents, whatever is your situation, you're also going to need to include with that form, all that documentation. So that form again will be posted on June 15th, and that's when we'll start reviewing those. Oh, and then I guess I can add too, we may need to verify the information, or we do need to make sure the information currently on the FAFSA is accurate. So if you have to-do list items, you should turn those in anyway if you're going to do a change of income. Or even if you're not, we will be emailing you to make sure that we have the accurate information on the application before we even make changes based on 2020.
Thank you, Adrienne. So another question from Antonio. Do most parents get Parent Plus, a government loan, or private loans, or equally both?
That's a good question, Antonio. I'm not sure the actual breakdown of it because we see a mix of both. So it all really depends on the interest rate. So the Parent Plus loan interest rate this year is 7.08%. That is going to change for next year. We just don't know exactly what. It'll be, I'm sure they'll tell us before the application opens up on June 1st for Parent Plus loans. And so if you are able to get a better interest rate outside of that, based on your own credit and at your own bank or whatever it might be, that would certainly be a good option for you. It's usually the case though that students, it's difficult for students to get their a private educational loan that necessarily has a better interest rate than that in their name, just because of their credit history. But it all kind of depends on where you're applying and your own credit history for those interest rates. The other benefit of the Parent Plus loan too is because it's a federally backed loan, you're working with the federal loan servicers, and there's repayment options that you can do that might not be available to you with private loans.
Okay, we've got another question from Jake. Actually, let me go one back. So Joshua, are you able to pay the initial housing and dining payment with financial aid?
So if the housing and dining payment is requested on the housing application from you, you do need to make a payment at that time. Some students, if you are Pell eligible, can defer their initial dining payment, and they will not be requested to make that payment. So if you are being requested to make that payment when you're in the housing application, you do need to make that payment. And it is an initial payment. So what it'll do is it's going to decrease your costs when the year starts.
Okay, I've got a question from Jake. How does the Parent Plus loan work? When do you need to pay the loan back? And does interest start immediately?
Good question. So interest does start as soon as a loan is dispersed. So that means that we have a loan for the full year, let's say, fall, winter, and spring. It's split up into 3 quarters. If when that fall Parent Plus loan disperses, interest will start accruing on that fall portion of the dispersed loan. You technically actually need to start paying, I think, 60 days or 90 days. Someone can correct me in the chat. After the last disbursement in spring. However, you can request a deferment while your student is in school. So similar to the student loans, you can defer it, but it does default to beginning payment shortly after that spring disbursement is made each year. And I thought I saw something about year-to-year questions in there. So let's say you're borrowing the Parent Plus loan for this year, your financial aid is kind of locked into the academic year. So you would apply for that Parent Plus loan a second time in the second year, for example, after you've done your financial aid application again. It's not a one-time thing. We're doing this every year if you're interested in that. The interest rates don't change. I'm just looking at the Q&A. So the interest rates for your loan is locked in for that year's loan. The interest rates change year to year. So for example, if you borrowed this year, your interest rate is 4.58, but next year it's going to be something different for that particular loan. So it does not change for those loans from year to year.
Looks like we have a question from a parent. It says, my daughter got the middle class scholarship at UC, but did not get at Cal State. Is it possible? I imagine, is it possible that they can be eligible?
Yes, they are eligible to move that over to a Cal State. I'm guessing that UC was probably the first school listed on their financial aid application. But once you commit to your school, you'll go into Web Grants for Students and confirm your school of attendance.
And also, I believe it won't be posted on their financial aid award till August for our school at least.
Yeah, that's correct. Any other good questions? So I'm going to go back to, in case anyone, we still have plenty of time, but as a reminder, we also have other Q&A sessions happening as well later on in this week. So another question about the change of income. So if your financial aid application and your 2018 income does not accurately represent your current status or your current income, then you can submit the change of income form starting June 15th. And then we will review and make changes as we are able. Yeah, I can go back. Someone's asking for the cost of attendance slide. So this is from our website. I hope it's not getting anyone whiplash for me to be scrolling through these. So this is available on our website, and it's much prettier and much more dynamic on the website. So I definitely encourage you to check out the website to look at the cost of attendance. But essentially, this is living on campus. Yeah, and the living with parents.
So Adrian, we have another question.
Yeah.
And it says, can you pay the whole year in one payment with Parent Plus loan?
So no, the Parent Plus loan, you can accept the whole amount that's listed on your financial aid award and apply for it, and it's ready to go. But and so yes, you would be making a payment, but it wouldn't be with that, but it wouldn't be all in one go. It would be split into the 3 quarters. But you can use the Parent Plus loan. If you were to accept all of the Parent Plus loan that's offered, it is going to cover tuition, housing, dining. And also, as we're looking at this cost of attendance, you're offered up to all of this amount. So then you're going to get refunded a little bit to help you with transportation, personal expenses, and miscellaneous expenses you might have. So you will be paying quarterly essentially for housing and dining if you chose to borrow enough of the Parent Plus loan to do so. And then payment plan information or information about paying for housing and dining is also available at the Student Accounts website.
Thank you, Adrian. So I see that we have another question. When is the latest we can submit our financial aid request by? I imagine it's perhaps change of income?
We can review change of incomes year round. So if you are hoping to have any adjustments reviewed prior to the start of the quarter, I would not submit later than June 30th at this point, so that we have enough time to review, request additional documentation from you, make the changes to your application, and re-award. So I would encourage you to submit early if you have significant changes to your income. But you can submit at any time during the year, and we will review it at any time during the year. If you have a really dynamic situation, like maybe you own a small business and it's hard for you to estimate what your income is going to be this year, and I know we're in especially difficult times right now, you could wait until you complete your 2020 taxes, and then we can do a change of income in, say, winter quarter when you have a draft of your 2020 taxes, and use that to reevaluate your financial aid eligibility. And then we would retroactively make adjustments to that for fall quarter if it changes your aid eligibility. Again, a change of income may not change your aid eligibility if we return back to some of the basics that we talked about, that EFC number and that financial financial need, it is possible that those numbers don't change significantly enough to change your eligibility. But again, we will review and we will be communicating with you to make sure that we have a clear assessment. And if there is a change, we will make those changes.
Adrian, we've got another question. On my to-do list, it's requesting me to send my transcript. Do I send it right now or do I wait until spring semester is over?
Ooh, does someone from admissions want to answer that? I'm sure someone can pop in really quick. About
What was the question, Adrian, again?
the question is actually, Tatiana, can you read it again? It's about transcripts.
Yeah, so it says on my to-do list, it's requesting me to send my transcript. Do I send it right now or do I wait until spring semester is over?
Yeah, so for admissions, if you have a partial transcript on your portal to-do list, then we do want a partial showing fall grades and spring courses in progress to be sent at this time. And then all final transcripts will be due by July 15th. So students should have their spring grades posted, diploma posted if you're high school, and transfers, make sure to have all your spring grades and degree posted, and just send all those official transcripts and official test scores into us by July 15th.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I saw one question kind of fly by about Cal Grant. So if you were awarded a Cal Grant by the California Student Aid Commission, but you do not see it on your award package, you want to make sure you're going to Web Grants for Students and creating an account, and then confirming your school of attendance as Cal Poly, and making sure that the California Student Aid Commission isn't asking for anything from you. They might have a hold for one reason or another. So you want to confirm once you commit to us. And then you want to make sure that you have no to-do list items. And if you do, you need to submit those items to us for review so that we can verify your information and then load your Cal Grant. So again, if you're not seeing the Cal Grant, there's a couple reasons for that. Including verification and including maybe not having sent confirmed Cal Poly as your school.
Adrian, maybe a good question would be, what is the last day that I can accept my awards or my loans?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so much of your financial aid is available to you year round. If we do remove it for whatever reason, like for example, for loans, we do remove them off the portal in October, but you can always ask for them back. I would recommend accepting really evaluating it when you commit to Cal Poly. Part of that commitment is making sure that you have a plan for meeting your expenses. So if that plan includes subsidized loans or other loans, then accepting it at that time makes sense. But I really think that you would want to accept your financial aid and your loans if you're going to borrow by August, because that's when housing and dining charges start appearing, and you just want to make sure that we and student accounts have a clear picture of how you're meeting your expenses.
Okay, another question I have, if you feel the FAFSA application did not represent your income fairly because of extenuating circumstances, do you wait for June 15 for the change of income form to report that to Cal Poly, or is there another form you submit?
So yes, in general, if the change of income is related to income or maybe separations or divorce or unemployment or retirement or anything like that, if you have special circumstances that are like a parent death, parent death or extra medical expenses, we do have a special circumstances form that you could submit. You could submit now. That is on our website. I would take a look at that form to see if any of those options are applicable. If not, you're likely waiting for an income-based one. You're waiting for that change of income on June 15th. You can also email financialaid@calpoly.edu with more information about what your situation is, and we will direct you to the correct process.
Thanks, Adrian. We have a question from Heather. How do you pay for the interest that accrues while a student is in school? And does the sooner you pay the interest lower the total amount you have to pay?
It will lower the total amount you have to pay by the end of it, but you will be, if you're making payments, I mean, that is part of the payments total, I guess. You're assigned a loan servicer, the company that holds the loan essentially, and you would create an account with that company. Then you would go in and you make a payment just like you're paying like a utility bill, or it's really simple actually. You could set up auto payments. $20 a month can go towards that loan if you want. But yeah, it's done through the loan servicer, not through Cal Poly. I'm just gonna, for joining us, I think all incoming freshmen first year students were automatically considered for scholarships, for Cal Poly scholarships. And they have all been posted for 2020, 2021. We do, when you're a continuing student, there is an application for scholarships in the next years. So that'll be an option, but for right now, there's nothing else you needed to do for Cal Poly scholarships. So we do have a question about green and gold and the length of the term or the program. So for example, architecture is a 5-year program. I'm wondering if either Jessica or Delphina are available to answer that question about green and gold eligibility.
Hi, good afternoon. Yes, so Green and Gold is a 4-year renewable scholarship program, but if you're enrolled in a 5-year architecture program or landscape architecture, then your scholarship will be a 5-year renewable scholarship. So thank you for applying.
Thanks, Del. Thank you, Delphina, for popping in. So there's some questions about changes. So like, let's say you're awarded, you accept all your loans because that is the primary way you're going to pay for it. And you've accepted all that Parent Plus loan and applied for it and it's ready to go. And a scholarship comes in October or next year at some point, January, February. We can make adjustments. We can decrease those loans and make sure that we're reducing your loan debt. You would just tell us about it and make sure we're getting those funds if it's coming directly to us. And you cannot, the financial aid award for the loan part is pretty dynamic. So you might accept too much at the beginning and realize that you don't need to get so large of a refund back to you at the start of the quarter. We can make changes to your loan after that if it's too much.
So Adrian, we have another question. This one's from Darla. How do the loan disbursements work? Does the money come to my personal bank account or directly to the school?
Great question, Darla. So the way it works is all your financial aid, grants, scholarships, and loans are going to go to the student account first. That's kind of where all the charges are held. After it pays the charges on that account, or if there's no charges on that account, it will then refund the money to you, any excess money to you, through a direct deposit if you set that up in your portal, which I do recommend everyone does, or a check might get mailed home if it's a Parent Plus loan. So you will receive the money to you after any payment is made, or after the financial aid has paid the balance on the account.
We have another question. If the financial aid summary indicates Parent Plus direct loan, how do they apply for it? How does a parent apply for it?
For the Parent Plus loan? So you go out to student aid, you accept it in the portal, and then go out to studentaid.gov and sign in with your FSA ID. That's the same ID you use to sign the FAFSA. And then you will fill out the application for the Parent Plus loan out at studentaid.gov. If you are a parent of multiple students, either at Cal Poly or at other institutions, and you're going to borrow a Parent Plus loan for each one, you will have to do it twice, but a lot of the info saved. So it's not too cumbersome, but you do need to make sure you're doing it for each student.
So Adrian, there's a question about how to add Cal Poly to their FAFSA. So they're asking, where do we go to tell FAFSA that we're planning on going to Cal Poly?
Yeah, so if you didn't list us on FAFSA at the beginning, you go back into your 2021 FAFSA, and you're gonna have to click through to the part where it allows you to add a school, and you will add Cal Poly as a school on there, and then you'll have to click through and make sure you submit again. That will tell FAFSA to send the information to us. Once we get the FAFSA, so that usually takes like 3 or 4 days for it to get to us, and then we award financial aid once a week, typically Tuesdays. So if it gets to us on Monday, you'll see a financial aid package the following day. If it gets to us on Friday, you'll see it on Tuesday. So you want to make sure and make that update now so that we can give you your financial aid package before May 1st. And if you wanted to know, our federal school code is 001143. So you can look us up by our name, or you can enter our federal school code 001143. About Parent Plus loan, yeah, the extra money can go to the student if you select on the application you would like it refunded to the student, and you communicate this desire to student accounts office, then they can make the refund go directly to the student for the Parent Plus loan.
So Adrian, there's a question, and maybe we can help clarify some of it, but our federal loans and Parent Plus loans do not cover total cost. How do we fund the rest of the amount?
I'm sorry, so the federal loans, and yeah, so they do. So essentially, your financial aid package, if you're packaged with the federal loans, the student loans, plus the Parent Plus loan, that will equal your total cost of attendance. Cal Poly packages that way. So if you were to accept all of that Parent Plus loan, it will certainly cover all your expenses, because we've already, like this cost of attendance page I'm still hanging out on, we will have packaged that $28,000 or $44,000 for out-of-state students. So your expenses will be covered for tuition, housing, meals. If you have additional expenses like a computer, or maybe you're an out-of-state student that's taking more than the estimated 15 units a quarter, we can also make increases to that cost of attendance. You would have to submit documentation of that. And so we can help with some of those expenses and making sure that if you are borrowing, that your budget and your cost of attendance is reflective of that. Another note when I'm talking about Parent Plus loan, so you cannot apply for the Parent Plus loan until after June 1st for next year. So make sure you're holding off on that a little bit. I know we're super eager to have everything ready to go, but there's going to be plenty of time. So after June 1st, you can submit the application for the Parent Plus loan out at studentaid.gov.
So Adrian, you might be able to answer this, or maybe Delphina can jump in. But it says, if a students offered scholarship dollars decline admission to Cal Poly, do those dollars become available to students accepting admission offers?
Delphina?
Yes, we have the opportunity for students, once you register in September, to apply for additional scholarships. We invite all our students, enrolled students, new students, continuing students, to submit a Cal Poly scholarship application. And it is your opportunity to fill that out and be selected for the additional funding that we have in September. And we work really hard to make sure that we know all students can continue to apply, even though they didn't receive initially a scholarship offer when they start school. So we look for your application in September.
Thank you, Delphina. So Adrian, we have another question from Elises. I checked my portal and there was no information. I followed up with FAFSA and they needed a signature page. They said it would take 4 weeks to review. Will this cause a problem with financial aid?
Once that signature page is processed, we will determine your financial aid award package. So you still have the date that you submitted the FAFSA is the date on your FAFSA. So if it was on time, it's still going to be on time, even though you had to do the signature page and send it in late. So you're not missing out on your Pell Grants or the State University grant or anything like that. It's just we will package you as soon as we get it.
Thank you, Adrian. So we have another question, and maybe Christy might be able to help answer this one. If the campus goes virtual learning, how or will the financial aid be adjusted? Or maybe Adrian, you can.
Christy's here.
Hi. So if the campus goes to virtual learning, there usually will not be an adjustment to financial aid at all. You're still earning credits, and so we look at that as you are eligible for the same amount of financial aid that you typically would be.
Awesome.
So I think we have some follow-up in regards to the green and gold. So maybe just can you talk a bit about it again? So it says, what is the green and gold and where can we apply?
So the green and gold is automatically assessed for our out-of-state students. There's no further action you'll need to take.
So we have a question from Vicente. If my GPA was reported inaccurately, and that is what scholarships are based on, can that be updated by the school to Cal Grants website, or I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, so if Cal Grant doesn't have the correct GPA, you're going to have to submit a GPA appeal to the California Student Aid Commission, not to us. And you can probably contact your high school or community college for some assistance in that as well, since they're the ones that reported it.
So Joshua is asking, do we need to still apply for the Parent Plus loan if it is already stated on the award letter? If not, what is the next steps for parents?
Yes, you do. So once you've accepted it on the award letter, you do still need to complete the application. And actually, once you accept it, the to-do list is going to populate with a request to complete that application. So that's why the to-do list is so important, so that you don't forget, and we don't forget to ask for something. It'll sit on there until we receive that application. So you're always going to take that additional step for the Parent Plus loan of applying out at studentaid.gov.
We have a question, options to make the out-of-state tuition more affordable.
I don't know if anyone else wants to address that. I would certainly encourage you to take a look at that current cost of attendance, see if that's something that your family can manage. There's going to be no changes to that for this year. So what you see as a current cost of attendance is what you can estimate spending. It also doesn't change from year to year in terms of anything outside of maybe that state tuition fee, because of course that's dynamic and based on our state budget. But you can be assured that you be in the ballpark of what you're paying this year for the next couple of years, 2 to 3 years.
All right, so we've got a question. Is the cost of attendance fully met through financial aid package, including free money and loan programs, if I am an independent and I am eligible for the California Dream Act application?
So if you're eligible for the California Dream Act application, I would want you to look at your financial aid package and take a look at what is offered there. So it could be the case that because we don't have a lot of loans we do participate in the Dream Loan program, but it is a limited program here, that your full cost of attendance is not being met by what is offered in your financial aid package. Our scholarship website on our financial aid website has a list to outside scholarships, and we also have a Dream Center. And so if you visit the Dream Center website at Cal Poly, they have a list to a lot of scholarship resources that'll help meet that cost of attendance for you.
Thank you, Adrian. We've got a question from a parent. If my son had not checked registration for selective service on FAFSA, does this exclude him from federal funding? He has since registered.
Good. So there might be a request for selective service on your to-do list, we might need to confirm that. So if it was not at the time of the FAFSA, of filling out the FAFSA if he was not registered. So we might just ask for the confirmation that you can print on the Selective Service website and turn into us. He will not be eligible until those to-do list items are cleared and we've reviewed that. So we got about 4 minutes.
I have one question. When do out-of-state students become residents, and does that affect their cost of attendance?
So I would think admissions can answer that a little bit better, because it does impact your cost of attendance, but it's my understanding that the process is long for that to happen. I would definitely direct that to admissions.
Can you help us out, Mandy?
Absolutely. And sorry, I was typing away in the chat. So could you repeat that back to me, Adrienne?
How long does it take for out-of-state students to become residents?
So that is, just in all transparency, highly unlikely, highly difficult for an out-of-state student to change from an in-state resident to, or I'm sorry, from an out-of-state resident to in-state for tuition and fees purposes. The reason being is the earliest you're even eligible to apply is after 3 years, and you would have to show that you've been entirely financially independent for those 3 full years. So you couldn't have any Parent Plus loan, you couldn't have any financial support from your parents in any way. You would have to be paying entirely on your own for 3 full years, and then also have a full year of just establishing your intent to stay in California with a series of different documents. And so out-of-state students, we just recommend that unless it's a very rare scenario and you're in that scenario, that you just plan on most likely not paying in-state tuition the entirety of your time at Cal Poly, and that it would remain out of state during your time here.
Thanks, Mandy. I wanted to emphasize questions about the change of income again. So you do need to make your decision about Cal Poly based on the financial aid package you see. That is because we don't know exactly how your financial aid eligibility may change. So we just encourage you to be prepared for what you see now and commit to Cal Poly with an understanding that that may be what you're working with. You can accept the awards. I encourage you to do so because, again, if nothing changes after that change of income process, nothing in terms of eligibility changes, you will still need to figure out how to meet your expenses. So you can accept your awards. It doesn't prevent us from making changes. So if there hopefully are increases to grants for you based on this change of income, we will certainly make those changes, and then you can reassess whether you need the loans or need as much of the loans after that change of income. But you do need to proceed right now with the understanding that that financial aid offer might be the offer that you're going to have when you start the quarter next year.
So Adrienne, I think we'll go ahead and end with this last question. Will the opportunity fee continue to rise by $2,000 every year like it has for our out-of-state students?
So you are locked into the opportunity fee that you have now for the time that you are here. The incoming class of 2021 is going to pay a different opportunity fee, but you as a class of fall 2020, or what, not the class of, but the admitted fall 2020, you will be paying that same opportunity fee for the 4 years that you're here. That will not change. It changes by cohort, I should say.
Okay, so I think we'll go ahead and conclude our session for today. We will go ahead and remain here for the next few minutes to answer any remaining Q&A questions that are on the queue. But this will go ahead and conclude our session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. And again, here are the upcoming Q&A sessions. If you, maybe somebody you know didn't make it, or you have additional questions, you could definitely check us out on Monday, April 27th at 5 and Wednesday, April 29th at 1:30. And the link will be available at the virtual open house website. Thank you so much. And congratulations again on behalf of all of us.